Hello and welcome to the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir in Brussels, Belgium. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm joined by Patrick Dickmann. And Patrick, it's Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir, and you took your invite to this Pro Tour very seriously.
Yeah, that's true. I'm definitely playing a deck that fits the set, I guess, because I'm playing a lot of dragons. And yeah, it's been treating me well so far, at least in the constructed portion, and yeah, I like it a lot.
We won't talk about Patrick's limited performance this weekend. It has not gone well for him, but in Standard, you've been playing a deck that's done very well. What was your approach to the Standard format coming into the weekend?
Well, for me, it was kind of obvious that I wanted to be playing blue because, like, my problem with Standard is that I usually don't have card selection. Like, there's no huge amount of card selection, and now with Anticipate being printed, you finally have at least like some card selection. I mean, it's already on the screen there. Yeah, because
we anticipated that.
Yeah, sort of. Good one. No, it's just that like, I miss like having an influence on my draws, and so I definitely wanted to play a deck with Anticipated Dictator Time, which is one of my most favorite cards ever. So this was the base for the deck, and I kind of just like tried building around it. And I mean, there was a lot of like very powerful cards printed in Dragons of Tarkir, especially more or less Counterspell, which is Silumgar Scorn. And so the theme was like going in the dragon direction already, and this is like how I got to build this deck.
So this is what you're using to sort of sift through your deck to find answers, to give yourself the time to set up. Let's take a look at some of the other cards that you're going to be playing here, cards that you're looking for maybe with your Anticipate and your Dig Through Time. Tell me about Wild Flash.
It's just the deck's very, very slow. So obviously, like all your dragons, they start at 4 mana with the Thunderbreaker again, for example. So you definitely need to try and keep the ground clear. And I mean, Shock is just very good at that because there's a lot of like early drops that die to it, and even later, like usually you can trade like tempo-wise, you can trade upwards because you can kill cards like Boonsfeather, you kill cards like Rebel Master. There's just a lot of creatures with power 2 or less that die to Wild Slash, and it's the same with Anger. I mean, it's like a low-cost sweeper that keeps the ground clear, at least of like decks that try to swarm you, which is like this deck's weakness. Like if the board state gets out of hand, your dragons, that they can like put it around because you can only play one at a time, and you like have to skip your turn to play it. So there's just a bunch of removal spells.
So 2 damage. 3 damage, and then if they have a 4 toughness creature.
Well, actually, Valor Stance serves double duty in this deck, though. I mean, all the dragons have an effect when you like target them, especially like the Thunderbreak and the Iceforce Regen. So the protection part is actually very, very important in this deck. Like you either get to kill their big guys, or you protect your own dragons. And like despite from like trading 1-for-1 removal spell against Valor Stance, they also like had to pay more, took 3 damage or whatever. So it's like a really like I think this deck like. Valor Stance is probably one of the most important cards for the deck. So
it's sort of like a split card that could be a Dark Banishing or a Counterspell.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me about Aether Spouts in the main deck. Not a card we always see main.
Problem is the mana base is built towards supporting blue and red, and maybe like casting on-curve Uchutai, but you can't play a sweeper for big creatures like what's the name of it? End Hostilities. Double white is not supported by the mana base. Like you can't make it without playing a ton of tap lands, which would slow you down even more. And yeah, Aether Spout serves this role, like to just and also has a huge blowout potential. Like no one expects it really. And I caught like several Stormwrath Dragons with this already. I had a board state where my opponent had like 2 Stormwrath Dragons and a Corsair all attacking, and they all went on top of his library. So that's like it's a very surprising card, and can definitely win you games.
Okay, so let's take a look at, we've talked about dragons, some cards that care about dragons, starting with one of your lands. Normally we do all the lands at the end, but Haven of the Spirit Dragon, what's going on with this card for you? Just the one, but it seemed very good every time I've watched you play it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the one because, I mean, you have a lot of double colored and double red spells, like double blue, double red, so you can play more since the Haven only pays for dragons, but since you have a dragons share, like, in the Jeskai colors as well, it's important to have the fixing, and also like just getting one of the dragons back is really really powerful. I mean, it's a land after all. It also taps for colorless for Arsenal spells, and in the late game, it just turns into one of your powerful dragons, which is really nice.
Right. Yeah. This ability here: sacrifice Haven of the Spirit Dragon, return target dragon creature card or Ugin from your graveyard to your hand. Really reminiscent of you know, cards like Academy Runes.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
You know, the kind of things that as a control player you. You know,
exactly.
you just want that inevitable game state.
Exactly. You just want we want value out of your lands. I mean, this is why like mana lands are very good, but tectonic edge and stuff is very good because like if you get a land that like serves a better role later on, that's just like really good for any type of like slower strategy that tries to prolong the game. And I don't know, these other cards, I mean, obviously they all like have some effect with dragons. Stubborn Denial might not be that obvious, but you're playing 10 creatures, and each of these creatures kind of protects the dragons. So if you like, I don't know,
so you play a dragon with 1 mana up.
Exactly. And I mean, it's also like one of these cards that like no one expects. I got a counter in Elspeth a bit after playing Ojibwe, and this is like such a huge tempo swing. It can win games on its own. So it's definitely a good card in the right deck, I guess.
So we've talked about Draconic Roar. We've talked about Haven of the Spirit Dragon. We've talked about Silumgar's Scorn. So a lot of dragons matter to your deck. Let's see what these dragons are and how many of them are there. There's 10 dragons in your Jeskai Dragons deck. Talk to me about Thunderbreak Regent and how this card fits into your deck so thoroughly at 4.
Well, it's a 4-drop, so it's like the first dragon that you can play to like kind of gain tempo back because this is not a pure control deck. You can't just like play the control game against the other mid-range decks. Usually what you want to do is like definitely keep the ground clear, but then start playing dragons as soon as possible, like also play it over removal spells. And I mean, this is the first dragon to come down on turn 4, and despite like having a more or less impressive combat stats for 4 mana, I mean 4/4 flying is already a good body by itself. It also has this second ability, which is like dealing 3 damage to opponents whenever they are targeted. And with the cheap counter magic, if you can protect this 1 or 2 times, it stacks up super fast. And
so this goes right back to the Stubborn Denial you're talking about.
Exactly.
Where you play this with 1 mana up, they're like, well, I got a Hero's Downfall that, and then you Stubborn Denial counter it, and they've taken 3.
It's the same with Valor's stance too. Like it fits into the game plan. It's the first dragon to play. Ojibwe is, I think, just a super powerful card by itself. I mean, like you can just slam it on turn 5. There's pretty much nothing your opponent can do other than like playing a sweeper. But I mean, even that you can predict. And like if he gets to attack and like the anticipate is obviously very, very powerful. And I think it's actually powerful enough to maybe find a place in like a modern or something like that.
And you've talked about liking to have some control over your draws, and you talked about the card Anticipate, but you know, when you get to attack with Ojibwe, the game must feel like it's just firmly in your control once you can attack a couple times with Ojibwe.
Exactly. Like most of the time you can protect it with all the protection spells, and it's just a super powerful card. And
Icefall Regent, 2 copies of Icefall Regent.
Yeah, it's just for like tempo plays, because a lot of the time in this format, like you're going to play your Thunderbreak Regent, and then your opponent is going to play Thunderbreak Regent or another threat of his own. And Icefall Regent is just a huge tempo swing because you get to tap down their creature, you get to attack, and then they need to spend their entire turn killing the Icefall Regent because of the pay 2 more clause. And then their creature still does not untap. So it's just a huge tempo swing, and it can like pretty much like it can also tap down problematic creatures like Stormbreath Dragon, for example.
Sure. Speaking of Stormbreath Dragon, 1 copy of that in the deck because it's just that good. Hasty Dragons. Let's take a look at how you pulled this all together mana-wise. 3 Flooded Strands, a Bloodstained Mire, and a handful of basics. But I think the non-basics is where the come into play. Tapped Lands, Mystic Monastery 4, Temple of Epiphany 4, 1 Temple of Triumph, and then you talked about it being really a blue-red base.
Yeah, exactly. Like as you can see, it's mostly blue-red duels and just splashing the blue, the white, sorry. And so this is also why we can't play double white cards, and we really just splash for Ojibwe and Valor's stance pretty much, and some type of cards.
So it's really like an Izzet Dragon deck with a little bit of white.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, Patrick Dickmann, I'm going to let you get back out to the floor. Keep working on this. We got a little bit of the sideboard there that's going by. Jeskai Dragons. This is a deck that's doing really well here. It might not be showing up in the standings overall, but when you look at how standard decks are performing, this is one of the strong decks to consider. And hey, it's got dragons in it. Patrick Dickmann, Brian David Marshall from the Tournament Center.